Good evening and welcome to the business meeting of the Florence City Council. Please stand. We pray for the system and decisions that are beneficial to the represented here. Power us to speak honestly, reflect wisely, vote with integrity. We seek your guidance tonight. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Wingo?
Here.
Ms. Chambers?
Here.
Mr. Wynn?
Here.
Ms. Whalen? Mr. Schneider?
Here.
Ms. Cable? Mayor, we have a quorum.
We have for your consideration minutes of the special meeting of August 18th, 2026. Is there a motion to approve? Ms. Whalen?
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have for your consideration the first reading of Ordinance 021-2026. It is an ordinance relating to levying of a tax upon real estate and personal property in the city of Florence, Kentucky, levying a tax on all franchises taxable within the city of Florence, Kentucky, specifying payment dates, discounts, and penalties for the franchise tax on financial institutions measured by the deposits in the institutions located within the city, and levying a special tax for the payment of current service costs for the police and firemen in the county employees retirement system. This is the ordinance by which the city establishes tax rates and levies annual taxes. The basic tax levied for general fund purposes is a tax of 18 7/10 cents per $100 of value on real property and a tax of 22 6/10 cents per $100 of value on personal property, except for motor vehicles and watercraft, and upon all franchises taxable by the city. In addition, this ordinance levies a tax in the amount of 2 7/10 cents, $0.027 per $100 of value upon all real and personal property, except for motor vehicles and watercraft, and upon all franchises taxable by the city for the purpose of payment of the city's obligation for current service costs for the police and firemen in the county employees retirement system. All of the above-mentioned taxes are due and payable upon final passage and publication of this ordinance. A discount of 2% is allowed for any such taxes paid in full by November 1st, 2026. Any such taxes remaining unpaid after January 1, 2027 are subject to a penalty of 12% plus interest on the amount unpaid at the rate of 12% per annum from January 1, 2027 until paid. The ordinance also establishes a franchise tax in the amount of 25 thousandths of 1%, that's 0.025%, on all financial institutions measured by deposits in such institutions located in the city. This tax was levied by ordinance number 01896 pursuant to the Bank Franchise and Local Deposit Tax Act. This is KRS 136.575. It's a 2% discount is allowed against this tax on bank deposits if paid before December 31st, 2026. Any such taxes paid after January 31st, 2027 will be subject to a penalty of 12% plus interest in the unpaid amount at the rate of 12% per annum from January 31st, 2027 until paid. The ordinance establishes corresponding due dates, discounts, and penalties for subsequent years. Is there a motion to approve? Mr.
Second.
Wynn, second by, was that Ms. Chambers? This does amount to about an 8% tax decrease on our real estate. Mr. Lewis, would you care to give any comments?
Yeah, all I have to say is take advantage of the 2% additional. If you're able to pay early, it's a good idea to do that, and you get 10%. So, just want to remind everyone that. That's all I had.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Wingo?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Wynn?
Yes.
Ms. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Schneider?
Yes.
Ms. Cable? Mayor, motion passes 6-0.
Next, we have for your consideration Resolution R4, 2026. It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Florence, Kentucky, the city, authorizing the execution of a memorandum of agreement between the city and JDV Ventures LLC, the company, relating to the acquisition, construction, equipping, and installation of a mixed-use commercial development, the project, agreeing to undertake the issuance of industrial building revenue bonds at the appropriate time to pay the cost of acquiring, constructing, equipping, and installing said project and facilities, approving an agreement in lieu of taxes with the company, taking other preliminary action, and authorizing the mayor to execute any and all documents in furtherance of this resolution. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Wingo.
Second.
Second by Mr. Schneider. Mr. Hunt?
Yes, so briefly, last week we had representatives from Athena, and I believe they're here tonight. They came in and they proposed or presented their project. We also had our bond counsel, which is Jim Parsons, go into what a bond inducement resolution is, a little bit on the pro forma, and kind of give an overview of what all that entails. Just as a reminder, I know I mentioned it last week, but I'm going to reiterate it again this week, that this has nothing to do with zoning. Zoning is a separate process, and we'll be dealing with the zoning side of this equation here in the coming weeks. If for some reason zoning went a different direction, the bond inducement would not, it would follow, so it would not move forward, if that makes sense. Happy to answer any questions outside of calculator math questions, real time, that anybody may have. No.
And this does not obligate the city.
Yeah, non-obligatory bonds, right? So we're just a conduit financer in a situation like this.
Is there any further discussion, Ms. Whalen?
Would you explain to the people what this is, where this is, what it includes, and what we would potentially be seeing
Sure.
come to the city?
So as presented last week, for those who don't know the area, this is, I've always called it the Vici parcel. That probably doesn't mean much to anybody. It is the 13 acres right next to Lowe's. So in between Lowe's and Citibank is the property in question. The city has worked numerous economic development deals on this property for years. Took a few to the finish line, just couldn't get it over. Vici is the real estate arm of Caesars. So Caesars owned Turfway Park a long time ago, and this was leftover property that they had after it was sold. They sold the casino, but kept the property tracts. We've been working with Athena Hospitality on this. They went through probably about a year of due diligence in order to get closing on this property, and they now have sole ownership of it. And what the proposal is for a brand-new corporate headquarters, amazing looking building. There was some rendering showed last week. 2 really high-end hotels, and then a Class A restaurant pad. There's no named tenants for that restaurant pad, so it equates to about $100 million capital investment. And that may not mean much to most people, but you could work your entire career and not land a $100 million investment. So significant capital investment on a piece of property that's sat vacant for years and years. What a bond inducement resolution does, essentially it takes the tax rate and it puts it into something called a pilot. And pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes. So you're baiting a certain amount of tax value. So the capital costs associated with the project, which are high, they're like $21 million for this project specifically. You can offset the cost of that to allow the project to move forward. It's an earned incentive. There's no checks that are cut directly, from the city. It's not from our coffers. It has to be generated from the site and paid by the developer. You always come out ahead in these. The biggest winners are the school districts because there are zero impacts to Boone County schools on something like this, and it benefits their SEEK formula. And anytime we're dealing with a project over $50 million, we're typically talking industrial revenue bonds and sometimes even tax increment financing districts on top of it. And then KBIs is another one that we do. This one, we're just talking industrial revenue bond right now. There will be a KBI request down the road. We're just not there yet. It's a lot of acronyms.
Yes. Any other discussion? Ms. Wingo?
Could you just explain for folks that there will be a payment made to the school system and to
Yes.
the city and to the county? It's at a
Yes.
reduced rate?
It is at a reduced rate. So think about it this way. Yeah, it gets dangerous when I start talking up numbers because I'll start making stuff up. But a piece of property like that, say it's assessed around $3 million. that's probably only $5,000 in tax revenue that the city would receive, right? So not a lot of tax revenue sitting there vacant. We want to see it developed. We've been working hard for it to get developed. Even with an abatement through industrial revenue bond, when you have a project that it's a $100 million capital investment, but the reality is it won't be assessed at $100 million when it's done. It might be assessed at $45 million when it's done. The math on that works out to roughly, you'll take something where you were getting $5,000 to $7,000 in taxable value now, but when the project is fully built out with the abatements, you could do about $250,000 a year in taxable value. Really offsets the cost. You know, we target these projects specifically because we can bring it back into the general fund and redistribute it to the residential, specifically east side capital improvement projects, public safety. You know, this is what floats the cost of running the city, essentially. The schools come out even more advantageous on something like this because, and this gets a little bit outside of my expertise, but there's a lot of information right now about the school tax rates, and SEEK formula is a term you hear a lot. In a county like Boone County, there's been a lot of commercial growth, a lot of capital investment. So the more accessible tax value you get, the less SEEK money you get from the state. With a pilot and IRB, this doesn't count against the SEEK formula funding. So basically, they get the 55% of the revenue, but they're not going to get any SEEK money taken away from them from the state. So it's a winner through and through for a school. And we talked to them, and they're definitely supportive of this project for that reason.
Any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Wingo?
Yes.
Ms. Chambers?
Yes.
Mr. Wynn?
Yes.
Ms. Whalen?
Yes.
Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
Ms. Cable? Mayor, motion passes 6-0.
Next, for your mayor's report, just a reminder that the Florence Aquatic Center is open weekends through Labor Day. Enjoy one of the final weekends of the summer at the pool on Saturdays and Sundays from 11 to 7. This Saturday, August 29th, join us at World of Golf at 7400 Woods Point Drive for a mini golf tournament and a live concert. The tournament runs from 4:30 until 7, followed by live music from Devoto and Patterson beginning at 7 p.m. And the neighborhood night out is Friday, September 11th, beginning at 5 p.m. at South Fork Park. Enjoy food, connect with city officials and staff, and stick around for a showing of Disney's and Pixar's Inside Out 2. The movie will begin at 5:30 p.m. For more information, contact the Administration Department at 859-647-8177. And celebrate Arbor Day with us. Mark your calendars for Saturday, September 19th, beginning at 10 a.m. at Canaboo Park. For more information, you can contact the Public Services Department at 859-647-5416. Is there anyone on council who desires recognition? Is there any department heads? Is there anyone in the audience? If you could please come to the podium and state your name.
Thank you, Jim. I had a little conference with Eric before this started, and we have come to the conclusion that the door at the senior center is going to open. Right, Eric? So that eliminates one of my problems. And by the way, when I'm sitting here, I'm looking, all you guys are on my payroll. That's pretty scary, because everybody here works for me, which is, and all the rest of the taxpayers, so we kind of have to work together. My other thing was, I was in this book group with Boone County Library, and the book was called We All Fall the Same, is by Wes Brown. The language in it was terrible. It was MFs and GDs and FU and F that and F that and that. So I went and complained at the library board meeting, which was a week ago yesterday. Well, as fighters, prize fighters do, they got to soften their opponent up a little bit before they go for the knockout punch. So we went around and around with this. I also told him that he was working for me. And also the fact that the library started out, I don't know if you all have been in the Canadian Rockies in the winter, but this little snowball is up at the top of the mountain and it starts coming down and it's an avalanche then and it wipes out everything in its way. no accountability. And the library board has zero accountability, except if some guy goes up and asks questions, which I have done, and the minutes don't show it. I gave him an award for being the world's worst neighbor, a trophy, and they didn't mention that in the minutes. So I thought, well, I'll give him the annual award for being the world's worst neighbor, and they still didn't put that in the thing. So the two people, I always sit in the back of Kerry Herman, which is executive director, and Dr. Jackson, which is the chairman of the thing. He's a PhD doctor, not a make you feel good doctor. So their topic was how come we needed 50 acres to build a library in Hebron. And they're still trying to figure that out. So a week ago, Monday's plan was to explain a dog park. And we all know dog parks are for you to take your dog to the park so it poops there instead of pooping in your front yard. So they were struggling with that a little bit. So I asked him about building a library in Florence. And the answer was, we're going to hire an architect. And I said, that wasn't the question. The question was, are you going to build a library? And their answer, Kerry Herman's answer, was no. No. I said, if you were, do you have the money? The answer was no. That's 2 no's. Now, I had 2 fairly credible witnesses there. It might not show up in the minutes, but 2 witnesses, Gary Moore and Chet Ham, were there. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask them. But I bring this up, and this is the reason I talked to Eric. The senior center needs more handicap parking. There's no way to get around it. It's a success. If you looked at it today, they were parked all over the place. So you can't count on the Boone County Library coming through and saving the day. If you read the December minutes, David Rich, the only guy on the board that does numbers, he worked for Ford, he worked for Toyota, he works for an outfit that does cooling systems for data centers now. He does study. He voted against raising the tax rate. So he had to look up a reason why he did it, because he just didn't feel right. So he did a report. It's in the December minutes. If anybody's got any indication they want to know what the hell's going on, look that up. Because the library is so far over whatever everybody else spends of libraries in their same ranking. So they spent way more money than they need to on facilities, on employees, on expenses, on everything. When they did the library at Hebron, they ordered carpet from California. They couldn't order carpet from Dalton, Georgia. That was too easy, because I know the guy that put it down. He said, why would they order that from California? It's more expensive than the same specs from Dalton, Georgia. I said, well, it's your money they're using, not theirs, so it makes it easier to do. So what we need to do is to work on getting parking for the seniors. 2 Fridays ago, a little girl, she was going out through the doors didn't work, and I had to hold the door. She almost got knocked down. Sylvia Sears, I said, isn't this a mess? She said, yes, it is. So, as my employees, I kind of would like to hear an answer what we're going to do. Parking, senior citizen handicap parking.
So, Eric, can you answer anything with regard to
Yes,
the
I'll-
amount of handicap parking?
I'll recap the conversation we had, Mr. Berkshire. So the parking obviously started with, we've got this piece of property. We're hearing from you, and maybe staff already know this, the library may or may not happen. I don't know the answer to that question. But we obviously, if it does happen, there's a piece of property right there where the old Florence nursery site is. And if that gets developed, then we would incorporate what additional parking would make sense to accommodate more for the senior center. So what I have done, and told you that I was going to do, was we are going to look at it from the perspective of maybe it doesn't get built on that property. So what is the library? So what would we need to do on our end to propose additional parking on site? What would that look like? What would that cost? And then I would build that into my budget request for the upcoming budget retreat. So that is where that stands. As of right now, I will be prepared to present that to council during the budget retreat at the upcoming fiscal year. And we should know more about what the library is or isn't going to do at that time and be able to make an educated decision on how to move forward.
I thought I just said what they said. I just said what they said.
That's what you said, so maybe that's true.
What do you mean, maybe that's true? You think
Unless
I'm gonna
staff
come up
has
here
heard
and lie?
anything additional. Josh, I don't know.
I certainly have heard something additional. They're putting together a subcommittee. They're building a new library. They've committed.
Why did she say no?
Huh?
I don't
I don't know.
understand.
Joe.
Why
I
did
wa-
she say they don't have the money?
I wasn't
They
there.
do have the money.
They do have the money.
No, they don't.
Well, I've looked at the books. They've got the money.
No, they don't. They've got $4
Wow.
million. That's what they're gonna spend before. They
They're-
don't have the money.
Here's the thing. I'm not over the budget. Can't really speak facts to it, but here's what I know for a fact. They are forming a subcommittee meeting that's going to be looking at where the new floor, it's not are they going to build one? The conversation was posed to me is where are they going to build it? And that is what the subcommittee is going to be addressing. So I'll reach out to Carrie tomorrow and see if, if there's been some sort of major change of course since the last conversation. I'm serving on that committee, so it'd be nice to know if we're not doing that, but I'll get the facts from her.
So my witnesses,
I'll call Judge and Chet, and I'll ask them too. It's
Now,
not that
I
I
don't know
don't,
what
it's
he-
not that I don't,
he might have political amnesia.
well, that happens from time to time.
You know,
It's-
he might have that. I don't
Yeah.
know whether he's got it or not. I haven't made a diagnosis yet.
I'll-
We'll find out.
I'll talk to the three parties and see where we're at with it.
3 parties.
Yeah,
What about Chet Hand? You gonna talk to him?
that's one of the three parties.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Also in our conversation, I told Eric that Hop Ewing was the father of Mall Road. And Eric thought I was crazy. But Hop Ewing was the father of Mall Road. And we ran into a little bit of, as the thing went on, it was kind of like a wrestling match. And we had a little bit of developer dementia when it was going on, and they kind of forgot what they said they were going to do. So then we decided we were going to do all kinds of stuff, but Hop Ewing got it done. So if we ever change the name, it should be his. All right, well, I guess I'm done. I guess I made enough people mad, but you are my employees, and I don't come up here to lie. I come here to tell you exactly what I heard. Now, I don't know what you're going to hear, but I know what I heard. So if we don't have the money, we're not going to do it, then what are the seniors going to do? What are they going to do, wobble around? I spent more time at the senior center than anybody here, I can guarantee that. So we're just going to keep kicking the can down the road.
We got to cut grade, right? Like, that's really what this boils down to is.
Mr. Berkshire, I just
You just-
proposed
yeah.
a plan of what we're going to do.
I know.
So we're not doing nothing.
I'm 86, I'd like to see it happen.
I understand that, but that's not the way it works. So we are moving forward in a direction. We have a plan, and,
You know, glaciers move forward too, but not very fast.
okay.
So we're moving at glacier speed. We still need parking. All right, well, I guess that's all I got to say. And I noticed that our new gazebo in the back by the Charlie Niblock Park, I don't know if you all knew Charlie very well, his wife
No.
Judy, son Jeff, nephews, the Wainscott brothers. Well, the Hispanics using it are really appreciating it.
Thank you for coming. Anyone else desire recognition?
My name's Naomi. I live on Utz Drive, and I have a question for Eric. I believe last week I sent you an email about Gerard, that there's some large plates that are like, I'm assuming on potholes, and I was wondering if those are from the city or are they the water,
They're from, yes, sorry.
are they from the water district or the city?
It's from the city, so there's a project, a water main project, and they're going to repave that whole intersection once they're
Okay.
done.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Naomi. Anyone else desire recognition? Sir, if you'd come to the podium, please.
My name is Spencer Carter, and thank you for reducing taxes. Appreciate that. I'm sorry to bring an issue to you that it's kind of been a thorn in my side, and I've come to ask for your help. I'm plagued by a parking problem on my street, and to my knowledge, I mean, Florence is doing its best to keep residential streets for residents and commercial parking is zoned for commercial. And the city takes a lot of great steps in order to keep the city looking beautiful as it usually does. So I live on Pheasant Drive, and it's supposed to be a residential area. Unfortunately, there's been a commercial van continuously parked in front of my house all the time, and it's been ugly. And I'd like to give you all a handout of what I've been looking at. And I have handouts, if I may. I only have 10.
Absolutely.
May I go through?
Yeah, you can, Melissa will help you. If you don't mind, she can distribute them so you can keep talking.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I only have 10. Thank you. So the van is operated by a person who moved in about 9 months ago and rents a house next door. And once you get the handouts, you'll see in pictures 1 and 2, that's what I've been looking at, and that's been used for his business. Then I show picture number 3, and the third picture shows how the parking looks like on my end of the street. And the space below the center mailbox on picture number 3 is empty. That's in front of his house. So I asked my neighbor, why not park your van in front of your house? And he told me he does not want to park in front of his house because it's too inconvenient. So he'll park in front of mine. So he always parks in front of my house. So I told him he's passing his inconvenience from him to me, and he told me I could do K-turns to get in and out of my driveway, and I said, I see, and I let it go, and I didn't want to dial it up. I did talk to the police on a couple of occasions. They went to him, and they also asked him politely if he would mind parking in front of his house. Of course, he ignored them. And then you'll see, I then asked the officer if he could get rid of the van on the street. He said they weren't used to issuing tickets for commercial parking. And I kind of thought, well, it's the quality of mercy from the police force. Around the 1st of August, a Boone County sheriff, went to my neighbor's house, and within a week, that van was moved, and then in pictures 4 and 5, you'll see a newer van is there. Don't know what happened in that exchange, have no idea. I will say that many years ago, a friend of mine was in Florence, and he had a commercial truck. He was told to be moved or towed, and of course he moved it. I myself had my passenger car. I had multiple cars, and I was keeping one on a side street, and it was towed. Of course, I paid the fees and got the car out. Not aware of the reg. City council members have provided me with the regs that you see in front of you. And unfortunately, I did some interpretation. So I don't believe a commercial vehicle can be parked on residential streets, and I don't think the reg can define every single commercial vehicle that exists. So it gives you the feeling that a commercial vehicle can't be on the street, residential streets of Florence. And there are caveats in the regs, and you see in Boone County it says any vehicle for carrying freight or merchandise, Further down, you see circled, it says or similar vehicle. In Boone County regs, it talks about commercial style vehicles. However, in the case of this vehicle, there seems to be a hesitation to do something with it. I believe a ticket and subsequent tow would be appropriate. My issue just kind of boils down to this. My neighbor thinks he has the right to park his commercial vehicle anywhere on the street, on the residential streets. And I just asked the council, what do you think? And I think, I think that the police could use, some backing just to say, hey, listen, I have the power of the council behind me, and here are the regs, and I can enforce them. I certainly don't want to be in, if I purchased a van to haul trash, I would certainly think I could not park it on a residential street. And I don't think that council members would want 20 of these vans parked on your street in front of your houses. It wouldn't be right. And I'm not part of his business. I don't get any profit, so I don't know why I'm sharing a parking space with him. So, and I don't own the street. If it was congested, I understand it. I have no issues with that. But, this person parks his car there all day, every day, and it only moves for a couple of hours a day, at best. So I just ask for everyone's help, if you don't mind.
Thank you for coming and bringing that forward.
And if I may add.
Yes.
Ticketing brings revenue to Florence, so.
No, that's not really,
Ticketing bringing revenue.
very, very little in
Very
the scheme
little.
of things. So we typically, whenever you use any kind of tickets or fines or anything like that, is just more last resort to get compliance is what we really want.
I understand.
I know there's probably a piece of this that's code. Based on the size of this vehicle, I don't know if it meets the commercial vehicle, because it looks like a van. And then there's a piece of this that's PD. So I think there's
May I also
probably,
add, I think the
yes.
Florence police do a great job. It's a great city to live in, so
What I'd like to do, if you're okay with it, is one, get your information. I do think there's some collaboration that myself and the police chief could do. We could evaluate this particular circumstance and just give you what we can and can't do.
I appreciate that.
So if we could just get your information after the meeting,
Yes, sir.
then we'll dig into it, and then we can follow up with you.
Yes, sir, happy to do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And
Sir, real quick, because I know our officers have been out there and talked to you before about
Yes,
this
sir.
vehicle. And as far as the ordinance, it says anything bigger than a full-size van, which it's a full-size van. There's no markings for a commercial vehicle on here. There's no ladder racks or no trailer or anything like that. So that's what the officer's looking at. So like Mr. Hall said, maybe we can collaborate and come up with something different with the ordinance that would cover this if need be.
I appreciate that. When I look at the regs, it looks like there are caveats in there because you can't really describe every single commercial vehicle in the world. I've got little appliance trucks, if you're having a refrigerator, they're about half the size of my car, but they're little commercial vans. I mean, there are all sorts of things that go on, so I appreciate what you're saying, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else desire recognition? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Ms. Whalen, second by Mr. Nguyen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all for coming.